In this video, I want to demonstrate how to start a top-down assembly and create this much of the base of the vise as shown here. So first, I'm going to tell SOLIDWORKS I want to start something new. So I'm going to say new. Then I'm going to select the inch assembly template and say OK. And we'll give it a minute to open. And when it does open, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cancel this because I don't want to actually bring any part in. And then I'll close this. So I have just a blank assembly template. So top-down assembly means you're creating everything in the assembly. It's also very helpful to create some parts before, bring them into the assembly, and just create certain components in the assembly. And there are many things we have to be careful of when we create top-down assemblies that will be addressed as we go through this video series. So the first thing I want to do is with the assembly ribbon selected, I'm going to come to the drop-down arrow below Insert Component. And I'm going to select it, and I'm going to tell it I want to insert a new part. You'll notice the green check mark beside my mouse. I'm just going to click in white space, and that will create this new part. And I want to right click on it and tell it to rename the part. So I'm going to right click and select Rename Part, and I'm going to call that Base. Now if you right click on your part, I just want to move this over here. So if you right click on your part and the option to rename it isn't there, next I'm going to show you how to fix that. The other thing I want to point out how this shows it's based, and this symbol here, of assembly 2. This is telling me it's created in the context of the assembly. So next I want to come up here to Settings. And then I'm going to scroll down to the Feature Manager from the System's options and select it. And I want to make sure this checkbox is on that allows me to rename files from the Feature Manager tree. So I'm just going to say OK. And that gives me ability to right click here and rename the part. So now that I've renamed the part, I want to actually start sketching and creating the part. So I'm going to select the part in the feature tree, and I'm going to come up here and I'm going to say I want to edit the part. And the first thing I want to do is I'll expand this. Notice how all this goes blue, and any other components in the assembly will be grayed out here in the feature tree and will be see-through in the graphics area, so I can focus on just this part. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to select the front plane and tell it I want to make an extrude boss base. I use my mouse gestures to activate line, and I'm just going to quickly sketch the shape of the vise. Again, don't worry about sizes, that'll all be corrected shortly. So there I have the rush shape. Again, I'm going to use mouse gestures to activate smart dimensions, and I'm going to start dimensioning the. So this is 1 1/4. This is 3 1/4. This feature here is 1/8. And then to this point from the bottom is 0.280. This thickness is 1/2 inch. This is 1/2 inch. And then from here to here is 2 3/4. So my sketch is fully defined. I'm just going to look at it isometrically. I'll right click, exit the sketch. I'm going to do a mid-plane extrusion, and I'll make the thickness 3/4 of an inch. And I'll say OK. And there I've created my first in-context part. So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to stop editing this part. And you'll notice this all goes black now. I'm just going to change it to shade it with edges. And I've started my first part in the context of the assembly. And in the next video, we'll continue.